Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, Michelle here with another great business to discuss on this episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. Today's guest is Crystal, who's selling an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Welcome to the show, Crystal. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Michelle?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm glad to have you here today, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your business. But before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of it. It's an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business in the home niche created in April 2020. The average monthly revenue for the business is $95,554, and it makes an average of $26,174 per month in net profit. Included in this sale are Amazon Seller Central accounts for North America, the UK, the EU, and Singapore, with a total of 41 SKUs. That's 11 products in total with multiple variations. We have a registered German trademark and a pending US trademark, 5 VAT certificates for European countries and 1 for the UK, an email list with 500 contacts stored with Klaviyo and 300 ManyChat contacts, all SOPs, including those for product research, e-commerce operations, and social media operations, social media accounts for Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and YouTube, supplier and VA contacts, a domain and all site content and files, business-related accounts, and thousands of brand followers on Amazon. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 57339 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So, Crystal, now let's hear from you. What can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so, I was born in China and educated in the US and Canada, and currently I am in Singapore. So before I started e-commerce business, I was actually a management consultant by training. So I was working this one of the major management consulting firms in the world, and I decided that I, always wanted to run a retail business because I was always interested in consumer products. And, last year, just around COVID time, I discovered e-commerce at Amazon, and I started to, have this idea and create this home brand. And it has been growing rapidly. After a few months, we hit 7 figures and we launched, successful products after successful products. So, it's my first e-commerce business, but it's been growing very rapidly and also very successful so far.
I was going to ask you if this was your first one. So that's absolutely fantastic that you've had such enormous success with your first launch. So how did you come up with the idea to start this?
Yeah, so I always liked home niche. So I, bought and decorated my own first place all by myself. And, I picked all the furniture and, the furnishing, designed the place. And I actually got a lot of compliments from my friends. So I always just thought that, I wanted to have, a different style of basic, kind of decoration. So, I wanted to have more of a fashion decor instead of a basic decor. So that's the concept that I was inventing and also applied in this business. And secondly, when I first started, it was COVID just started. And, I wanted to bring positivity into people's life because a lot of people are staying at home and, they weren't as happy as they used to. So I thought that I wanted to create products and brands that would convey the positivity through my products and brand communications to people and their home. So that's essentially is embedded in the brand itself as well and, the products. So if you see it, you will probably feel the positive energy through the products we have.
No, that's great. It looks like that you've built something that definitely resonates with people. So can you explain to us how your business primarily makes money?
Yeah, so it's primarily Amazon business. I would say like more than 90% of the sales from Amazon. We also have a Shopify site that started this year, but I put pretty much like passive amount of effort. There are not a lot of effort. So there's a lot of potential to grow the Shopify site. Yeah, so say 90+% from Amazon, a few percent from Shopify, and also a few percent from B2B.
And why did you choose this business model? And I mean, like Amazon FBA, why did you start there?
It's just such a gigantic market, right? So when I first started e-commerce, I had a few ideas and I just wanted to quickly bring them to market and test and see whether people resonate with them. So I thought that because Amazon has its own traffic source and it's just relatively easier to get the feedback from the market. And then I would say, the first product, not under this brand, was not doing very well, but the first product for this brand was doing really well. And then I launched another brand, launched another under the same niche. So I would say, from then I started to, just focus on Amazon mainly just because it's such a great way to test products and to build that brand in a rapid period of time.
And so you chose this niche because it's sort of a passion for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I would also say that, this brand, it's more of a feminine brand. 70% of the customers we have are female, 30% are male. And, all of my team is girls. So it's really a for women, by women kind of brand. And we also have quite a bit of, some causes that's supporting women as well. So yeah, to me, I'm passionate about the product itself, but also I'm passionate about the brand and its customers.
And so why have you decided to sell the business now?
Yeah, so the business is reaching to a point where it kind of needs a organization to scale. So which involves tasks such as hiring and training people, kind of structuring the organizations and putting, policies and rules in place. A lot of that. And that's just not something that I am particularly passionate about. I am more passionate about the innovation and the product development and marketing process. So I would say that, I know that, in order to meaningfully scale it, we'll need to have organizations such as that. So I just thought it would be a good time for somebody else to take over.
So are you thinking then about getting into a different business after you've sold this one?
I would still want to start another e-commerce brand, but I'm definitely think that I'm more of a founder than a manager.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you've learned from this business that you'll apply to future sites or businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So I've learned a ton from this business, given it's my first e-commerce business. So definitely, there's a lot of lessons that I learned. But I think the first, most important one is just having a really great product. So yeah, and going forward, I think, I would definitely put a lot of effort into product development and having Amazon as well as other channels live so that we're not just Amazon only brand or, predominantly Amazon brand, but also a brand that is available on different sites. So it's kind of, it would make the brand itself less risky in terms of, from a platform perspective.
And while you were building this site, did you find that there was something that you did that worked particularly well to help scale your business to the point that it's at now?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think we have had quite a good eye on picking products and also marketing products. We have not spent a dime on any ads other than Amazon PPC ads. And in terms of launching, we have never used any search and buying method. Unfortunately, not allowed on Amazon anymore, but we have never used those methods. Everything is organic or through PPC. I think that's really unique, talking to many different brands. So I think that's definitely something that we have done and set ourselves apart from other competitors.
No, it's incredible. So is there anything that you tried that didn't work that you had to reevaluate or retool?
There's a few failed products. As far as I remember, I would say that we have a pretty good success rate in launching products, but there's definitely, it's probably somewhere around 70-80%, I can't remember, but it's quite high there. But there's definitely a few failed products. But I think, sometimes you just don't know, right? Like you just need to kind of try, trial and error process. However, we do have a very detailed SOP in terms of, product research and, kind of filter out products and how to launch them in place. And that's together with the assets that for sale. So yeah, we definitely have a tried process for that, even though some of them has not worked.
Out of curiosity and without getting too specific into your products, did you have some that sort of surprised you that you weren't sure how well they were going to do and they ended up selling really well, or ones that you thought were going to sell really well and kind of fell flat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always a little bit of a surprising factor there. Actually, I would say there's probably more products that have sold a lot better than we expected. Sometimes, there's months where, a product's selling very well and that month, they all of a sudden it don't sell anymore. But the next month, they picked up like, market is very mysterious. But I would say that in general, there's, more good surprises than bad.
So you had kind of touched upon that the majority of your traffic is organic and that you use PPC. So what else do you currently do in terms of marketing? Anything at all?
We have social media accounts where we push out organic content. You mentioned about Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. And those are channels where we use to communicate with our, potential customers and fans, where we really don't use ads because we, been seeing a pretty good results from, Amazon itself. Yeah, so I would say those are, the marketing channels. We just started a affiliate program as well, where we have partnered up with some of our, existing influencers that we have worked with so that they would also push content for us, where they also would potentially gain some commissions from. We also do marketing partnerships. For example, we're going to have this marketing campaign coming up that we partner with another brand in the beauty niche, where we, basically would send quite a bit of products to different beauty influencers, and they would also blast on their social media channels about us. So we do a lot of partnerships with people, organizations, as well as organic kind of communications from our social media channels. So all of them are being, quite effective in terms of communicating our brand awareness. And our Google, for example, from, Google My Business data that, the organic visitors and also people who search for our brands also growing pretty much month by month.
While we're talking about like ways that your brand is growing, you mentioned influencer marketing. And if I'm remembering correctly, your business has actually been very fortunate to have great publicity across some major channels. I think that, you said that this is one of the big opportunities that you can see to try to grow your business in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of quite surprising where the first winter, last year, we didn't even reach out to some of the publications like Yahoo and Good Housekeeping. They actually featured one of our products and it was ranked as a top product for, their holiday gifting article. Yeah, we're quite fortunate. I mean, like I literally, they never reached out to us. They kind of just wrote about it. And after that, we also were on some of the Amazon affiliate articles talking about products in our niche. I think going forward, it will also be a great way to grow the business just because we have built quite a bit of brand equity in the space. And I think that public relations goes very well and would definitely help us to grow even faster.
Well, I think that really speaks to the quality of your business. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal that you can get picked up by major publications in the first year of business. That just has to be such a great feeling for you.
That they didn't even tell us about it. They just wrote about it. And we also were actually curated by some of the Australian furnishing companies. And then, one of our products were picked by their site. And they were also they're buying our products and selling on their site in Australia. But we didn't even know that until we checked, Googled our name, and then, we showed up on their site. So, quite a bit of activities were organic and we didn't even know that until we checked.
And so are you currently listed on the Amazon Marketplace in Australia?
No, we're not. But there is a major furnishing company in Australia, and then they somehow picked our products and listed on their website in 2020.
Oh, that's great. So that could actually be another potential avenue of growth for a buyer is to start branching out into other international spaces.
100%. So, as you mentioned that we have a registered German trademark and we also have 6 VAT certificates. We already have an active, Amazon German EU market. So going to EU market is just so convenient for us or for anyone who want to take over the business. Our suppliers have vast experience in working with offline retailers in Europe. And then we adhere to, one of the strictest textile certificate criteria. So everything is really set for, branching out into different international markets.
And what are some other major opportunities for growth that you can see with this business?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of rooms in optimizing the supply chain. There's many areas to be optimized, and it will save the business a lot of cost, and it will drastically increase EBITDA if done right. I'm not gonna, talk about it in details, but we estimated, it could save quite a significant amount of cost if we just, pay attention to the supply chain optimization. As I mentioned, in the past 1 year, I really kind of worked in this area with, a few people. So we didn't really dive deeply into that area to optimize. And I know there's a lot of opportunities, but I just didn't really have the time to spend effort there. So that's one. And, as you mentioned, we also have a lot of potentials growing into international marketplaces. So I mentioned about EU, but also, Canadian market. So far we are in Canada through NAF program, and Canadian market is already 1% of our revenue through NARF program, the remote fulfillment program. And that's already 1% of our revenue. If you think about it, that if people are buying it through NARF, chances are they're paying quite a bit more money than if we were just to set inventory into Canada. So we have not started doing that, but that's a great opportunity. And I think you will see a significant growth in the Canadian market revenue once we actually ship the inventory into Canada. So that's also another great opportunity. And I would say the third one is, testing paid advertising outside of Amazon PPC. As I mentioned that so far, the Amazon PPC is our main channel for advertising. And I know that there's a lot of people on Pinterest, Google, they're searching for us, Facebook, they're interacting with us, that we're just not advertising to those people. So that's a great opportunity there to capture additional traffic outside of Amazon. So I'll say last one is to expand into other sales channels such as Walmart, Target, many of those that we didn't have a chance to explore because, being a Singapore entity, we couldn't really go into Walmart. So that if, some other companies, if they're able to go into Walmart, I think that would be a fantastic opportunity for us, just because I know that there's already people selling our brand on Walmart and we weren't able to get into it.
Yeah, we can actually see that with a lot of businesses, and it's not just limited to the US. Now you're starting, these e-commerce business or even just retail stores that are now like launching into the e-commerce space, offering these services that just gets you so much more reach for your products. And you can see that, just across the world. So if someone were going to enter into the European marketplace, like you were saying earlier, there's channels there, there's Walmart and Target in the US. I'm sure that Canada has its own great opportunity. Well, I was going to ask you about, you mentioned optimizing the supply chain, and I was going to ask if you could explain to us a bit how your inventory gets to Amazon.
Yeah, sure. So my inventory, I would say, outside of Q4, usually is sent directly to Amazon. And in Q4, we use 3PLs, obviously, just because everybody is subjected to restock limit these days. So it's really hard to do that. So yeah, I would say maybe 60, 70 around there is sent directly to Amazon, and the rest is in a 3PL somewhere in the States.
And do you use a forwarding company, or is it sent directly by the suppliers?
We have our partner forwarding companies, but there's definitely areas where, it can be optimized. Historically, we have used quite a bit of air shipment. And also we have never used a full container, like, slow sea kind of shipment. We always use fast sea. And I think you can probably save around 20% of the cost, just because, as I mentioned, we didn't really have a team that's dedicated to supply chain. So a lot of times when I manage it, I kind of just, chose a faster options. So I think, if you consolidate the shipments and send it through normal sea, I won't even say it's a slow, but normal sea shipment instead of fast sea or air shipment, there's quite a bit of cost that can be saved.
And you've spoken about your team before. So you've got a team working with you right now. And when you started it, you were on your own?
Yeah, so I was on my own, but now I have a team of 3 VAs. And sometimes we have interns as well.
So can you describe the amount and the type of work that you're doing on the business for maintenance right now?
Right. So for me, like I would say, I mostly do kind of a supervision kind of role because I have a social media VA, Amazon operations VA, as well as PPC VA. So they covered their own expertise, and I usually just kind of supervise their work and tell them what to do, give them directions, or kind of basically managing, day to day. And I would say the biggest part of the business where I spend the most amount of time outside of that supervision is probably supply chain, as I mentioned. So I currently communicate to the suppliers myself and also the forwarders. There's no particular reason, why it cannot be outsourced. It's just that I have not had a chance to do it. So I think, without that part, my job is pretty much just supervision.
Okay. And so what skills or requirements are there, do you think, for someone who's not familiar with the niche or the business model?
As I mentioned, because I have VAs that, have expertise in their own areas, for the owner, it really just needed to understand, day-to-day Amazon operations, in terms of how to look at the work, right? How to troubleshoot, kind of just taking a role of supervisor, or, somebody can actually hire a project manager in e-commerce space as well and be completely hands-off from that perspective. And also they need to have some expertise in supply chain. But if they don't, you can also hire supply chain managers or having somebody who's got inventory management skills, or companies. Actually, there's a company that specializes in that as well. So really just these two areas.
So what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
I think my business, the biggest risk is Amazon risk, right? Because you are relying on a platform. Sometimes they will change policies and they will change the directions they want it to go. They would limit your inventory. I mean, those are the Amazon, risk and we're talking about. But I would say, because as I mentioned, we have done 100% PPC launch / organic launch. We really don't have a lot of like other risks that, for example, for sellers who use search find buy or other methods, because, currently look like the policy is more and more in favor of native brands on Amazon and also who use organic or PPC launch method. But I would say the second biggest risk is that some of our products are seasonal. So for example, the first product that we had is a winter product. So we had, quite a I always say, usually during the winters, we do really well. But then during, the rest of the time, there are sales, but, it's definitely winter is, Q4 is the biggest season. So there's some seasonality risk. However, we have also done some adjustment by launching new products that normally sell, very well in summers. Now that you don't really have as much of a seasonality risk than it used to.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because that is such an important thing for business owners to consider when dealing with seasonal products. And that's fantastic that you were able to catch it so quickly and readjust and balance out your business. And it's showing, obviously, in your profit and loss statements, you got a solid business here. So as you move on, once you get this one sold and you focus your energy on another business, just wanted to confirm that you are willing to commit to a non-compete.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very standard. So I am willing to negotiate the period and also areas for a non-compete with a potential buyer.
And how much support are you offering buyers?
So I think you guys mentioned a standard 30-day of email and Skype support, but I am willing to do more support if it's needed. As long as the buyer feels comfortable, I can do more support or, more hand-holding in the process as well. It's all up to negotiation.
And are you open to negotiating something like an earnout?
Yes.
And so before we wrap up, out of curiosity, I was wondering, was there anyone who inspired you while you were building this business?
Yeah, so I was, listening to a lot of, master classes before I started the business. So I did listen to Sarah Blakely, who also coincidentally sold her own business to Blackstone recently. And she really inspired me just because, she started with a very limited amount of capital and she had one product and nobody believed in her. And now, she has a $1 billion company. And also, her philosophy was also to be genuine and she focused a lot on women's need. And, I think I definitely was inspired quite a bit by her and her mission in her business. So we have similar missions in that we are, predominantly, by women, for women business. And, we also support a lot of women-related costs.
Well, I really, really love that. You said, I think there's just something that comes across so genuine about it.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at our website and our Amazon page, you will see that based on my own experience, I don't really see a lot of our competitors have the same kind of branding, because it's just a very warm feeling. And it's a feeling that you get, for me anyway, is that as if you're talking to the brand itself. And we want to have that warm interaction with our customers, because a lot of them, they're proud homeowners, and chances are they're working moms and they have pets, they have kids, they have a big house and they have a full life. So we wanted to communicate in the way that they wanted to be communicated to. We don't just want it to be another, some home brand, they just go there and they pick some product they wanted to use and they're leaving. We want it to be this positive energy that's there to support them, and they can feel that they can share that, our brand to their neighbors or, their girlfriends or their daughter-in-laws. And we just wanted to kind of build that community going forward. So that's something that I'm pretty proud of. We're always focusing on.
That's such a great sentiment. So branding aside, your very strong branding aside, if you're putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
First of all, I think we have pretty strong P&L, and we have proved ourselves in a very strong financial position. So the business has been making money pretty much since the first month. So I would say that's the first one. And second one is that, as I mentioned, that we are pretty much 100% organic, other than PPC cost on Amazon. So that presents to me a huge opportunity where if the buyer is just, if they have some expertise in, Facebook ads or Google ads, there will be quite a bit of growth just from those areas. And thirdly, I would say, we have built quite a good infrastructure, no black hats ever deployed. We have, all the VAT certificates, trademarks. So it's positioned very well to grow and with the right buyer. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruits here. And, I think it's a no-brainer for people who wanted to get a high growth Amazon brand and just kind of grow it.
Is there anything else you'd like to share that I might have missed?
Yeah, so one thing I do want to share is that we are already on Fair, which is a wholesale, one of the biggest wholesale websites in the US, and also PIBA, which is counterpart in Asia. And then we have also done, some wholesale deals with some retailers. So I think there's definitely a lot of opportunities in that area as well for anyone wanted to kind of have, I always say de-risk a little bit, right? From online world to the offline wholesale world as well. We have some infrastructure built there already.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for your time today, Crystal. It's been a pleasure to learn about you and your business.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm not sure if my answer is good because I didn't do a rehearsal. I think some of them probably a little bit rusty.
Oh, no, I think it went really well. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 57339. If you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.